Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure, and you're back in the Alps in transport fever. You join me in an unconventional starting shot here today as we sit in the woods trying not to be seen on the outskirts of Altdorf. For those of you who have not really been following the series along, or at least not revisiting every single episode twice a day, Altdorf, as you will remember, is down at the far side, the far left-hand edge, if we were to look at it this way, far left-hand edge of the map. And here is a rather magnificent roundabout, which I recall having built, but I don't recall having visited again. It's a right mess. It would really benefit from some one-way roads that I don't have. So we're just going to have to settle with it as it is. Anyway, Altdorf itself is right here, and is actually sprawling in a rather magnificent fashion as it heads for Unterschachen up halfway up the mountainside, and yeah, it's coming along rather well. Anyway, the reason for starting here, let's get some train action on the go. The reason for starting here is I needed to play forward a little in order to refill my coffers ahead of whatever harebrained scheme came next. And it was suggested in the comments recently that what I should be doing was filming the next kind of plough forward that I did, while generally remarking on how progress is going. So I'm going to do that. Enjoy this episode of remarking on how progress is going. I'll see you after the intro. So we're going to start today on board the train that was leaving Altdorf as it heads for Erstfeld, which is the underground station, if you recall correctly, and there should be a reasonable shake of people waiting. Of course, there's the traditional, incredibly dangerous bit of landslip there in the tunnel, and people walking diagonally down an invisible staircase. This is exactly what we came to see as you peer into the abyss that is the end of the world. It does look like we're going to get a full capacity here. If we have a look, that's 90 we're waiting for. In your own time. There we go. Fill it back up. One person didn't get off. They decided that they really want to ride this in both directions, as is their right. So from here, it should head. For some reason, this line is called Beckenried to Ennisberg. Ennetbergen, beg your pardon. Altdorf, Erstfeld, Altdorf, Beckenried, Ennetbergen. Okie dokie. Well, okay, and then that's definitely what it is. So it's under here somewhere. If we there we go, there's the station. Another 58 people waiting, and this, along with quite a lot of the passenger routes, is in dire need of a suitable upgrade. We haven't finished mucking around with the goods hub yet, and we'll be heading there in the next episode. But before we get too hip deep in this one, I wanted to take just a moment to say, woohoo! I've passed 20,000 subscribers. This is, quite a momentous thing. I missed passing 10,000 subscribers because it happened almost overnight. In that instance, it happened overnight, but that was in a month where I gained 6,000 subscribers in one go. So I never really got the time to celebrate it, but I set in stone that I would be making some form of celebration vis-a-vis passing 20,000 subs. And this is part one of that celebration as we follow a few trains around, because trains maketh the channel, and therefore it seemed appropriate. But no, what I'm going to do to celebrate the milestone is we're going to do the inaugural episode of Colonel Failure Answers Your Questions. Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to pan out. If you have a question that is beyond the norm is why don't you drop off goods at passenger stops? We all know that question. What are the other classics? Can I remember any of the other classics? No, there'll be other classics that I should remember. They'll probably come back to me over the course of the next, 20 minutes or so of filming random activities on this map. But yeah, drop your goods at a passenger station. There you go, at a passenger stop. I'll just stop chuntering, man. Get on with it. Anyway, if you've got a question, if no one else can help, stick it in the comments here. Maybe there's some kind of hashtag. Hashtag 20k. There we go. That'll do. So that it stands out from the standard run-of-the-mill questions. I will only entertain. Did you know you could drop goods at a passenger stop once? Okay. One person is allowed to post that. You're very hilarious, and I'm still not going to answer the question because that's how I roll. And then I'll do, some kind of webcam-based "hello there, I'm Colonel Failure" kind of deal, and I'll answer your questions. I'll get through as many as I can bear, and hopefully deliver them with a certain amount of pith and wit. Pith and wit may not be present. Anyway, we're turning our attention now to, where are we? Schwiz, which is one of the original stations we worked at here. That's Witz, now Ingebol. Well, I must be in either Witz now or Ingebol then. I'm in Ingebol. Oh, okay. Not an awful lot of people waiting for this. That's a little odd. That said, how ancient is the train that I'm running on here? Let's have a look. It's semi-ancient. Okay, so it's a Great Western by the looks of it, or it's it is. Why, I actually managed to identify one correctly. It might even be a Duke, which, if I spotted that correctly, would be a first. My knowledge of trains made up solely from playing train games, more than. Obviously I know what the Mallard is, and I know what the Flying Scotsman is, but I can spot an Intercity 125 because I've ridden on enough of them. But no, one of the questions that comes up is, how big a train fan am I? And, am I just answering the questions now before you ask them? Oh, sure, we can do that too. Colonel Failure telepathically answers your questions through transcendental means. But no, I like trains just fine, but actually what I like is transport management games. That's a jolly specific scenario, that is. I like management games full stop, where you have to twiddle numbers around and make the profits happen. That's my kind of jam right there. And there's more along those lines coming up. Sure, why not? I'll do it now. You might be able to tell. I don't know, because I'm a consummate professional, but I don't really have a plan for this particular recording. Don't worry, I know I've been doing very few Transport Fevers lately because Mashinki's been getting in the way, but the pace is about to pick back up again. So see this as a scenic interlude before regular service continues. The next Transport Fever will be up tomorrow. Obviously, that only counts if you're watching this on the day I release it. If you were to watch it after that point, then tomorrow has probably already passed. Make sense? Good. Right. Where are we? We're at here, wherever here may be. That's Ilgau. That's Mualtatal. This is some of the original stuff. This is some of the bits that I built really early on. The three shifty-looking dudes in t-shirts there. Well, they're looking a little like the recent Tomb Raider movie poster. But yes, no, I don't. So yes, and indeed no. I like trains just fine because they're big and beefy and made of an awful lot of metal, and they make good noises and they look kind of butch, and therefore I like them. Get out of the street, shorts and flip-flops wearing man. It is not the weather for that. It is July. All right, I take it back. So yes, I'm not particularly a train aficionado, but I reckon if you're a regular around here, you probably knew that anyway. Now, here is Durenboden, which we have never visited. We should. I should connect this up to something. How far is Muotatal from here? It's a bit of a shake. Well, we'll add it to the to-do list. The to-do list is extensive on this map, so we'll stick that on there. Right, okay, so Beacon Reed, we've seen the station here. In fact, here's the train now heading towards Enetberg, and we'll pick it back up and ride along. So this is the chap that was heading into the underground station when we started our brief sojourn today, and now we're going to head into Enetbergen. and appreciate the sights and the sounds thereof. I'll take you through some stats in a minute as well. We've got earnings on the go, and one of the reasons for wanting to take a little roll forwards was to get an accurate read on how much money I'm actually making at the moment, because it's not enormous, but it is sufficient. I ought to get rid of this tree. To be fair, the train would probably get rid of it on itself. This is a goodly number of passengers we've got waiting here. What have we got waiting? 158 are waiting for this particular train that has a capacity of 90. Several of you have remarked that were I to upgrade some of the older trains that I'm running, some of the older passenger trains, they would be printing the cash. And you're not wrong, but we can only really take on one job at a time. And at the moment, that's the redevelopment of the hub, which we're now probably 3/4 of the way through. Anyway, here's Wolfenschiessen to Ennetbergen. Come on, what are we talking about here? 70 of 80. Yeah, I suspect if that one were a little faster, it might be, I don't know, picking up a bit more. Equally, if I were to, add a second road station access, whatever the heck they call it, second street second street, there you go, second street connection. It would connect up to this side, and that would generate a bit more cash as well. In fact, I might even do that since I'm here. I know I'm not supposed to be spending money this episode, but you know me long enough to know that I'm unable to resist such things. No, it's not going to go without a fight. We're not fighting today. Today is not a day for fighting. Today is a day for viewing the pleasures. Right, okay, so Wolfenschiessen also on the to-dos list. Now, here's Luzerne. Now, Luzerne's a bit of a growing town because it is actually receiving goods in some fashion, unless I'm very much mistaken. I am mistaken. It's receiving passengers by coach, although that's a truck. It is allegedly packing food. Which way is it going? It's heading into town with what should be food, but it has no food on board. Therefore, there is a food gappage in the system somewhere. I expect this chap here would be where the food was supposed to be arriving from, which means I'm running a truck line here that doesn't do anything. That's Stan's food. Alright, well, where are you being supplied from? It's going to be this port, right? Yes. Definitely. So that's just a gigantic money hole right now. Now, this is our secondary food outlet stop type deal here. Sarnen Food, 225. There's Sarnen. So this is just trucks that are running this. Yes, that's not going to be terrifically profitable. We got anything else waiting? Brienne's fuel. No. I ought to get this shipping lane working again. All right, okay. I'm probably going to do that. Let's have a quick look at the state of play before we crack on. I built a little bit of road to try and get our town to go just before I started recording. Couldn't help myself. Just had to happen. We're up 11 million on the year, and it's the 9th of August, so we've only just passed end of month. So 11 million is actually reasonably solid. It's pretty good and solid. And if we are 8 months into the year, that's 2/3, then we're looking at what, 16 million, 15, 16 million? That's doable. That is. Well, it's half as much again, isn't it? So it's we're actually looking at like 18 million profit per year, and I'm still running plenty of dead lines as well, which is not going to help my cause. Right. Do I have a line here? Luzerne food bulk. Let's have a look. There we go. The upper Luzerne. That's the one we want. Right. Let's bung a ship on that. Yeah, I know. I can't. I'm not going to hang on. We're just going to get on with it. Where's the big one? The Axe Alp, 152 versus the Klondike, which was the old one, 100. We'll buy one of those. It's £1 million. Didn't really want to be spending that. Set line Luzerne food bulk. There you go. You go and do the thing that you're doing. And hopefully that will kick some life into that, and at least it will restore some profitability to proceedings, and that's a good thing. Right, we're still down in the bottom end of the. So I'd intended this to be like 20 minutes long, and I'm going to overrun at this rate. What have we got going on here? This is Gad in Eng, which will be Gadman, Innetkirchen, and Engelberg, Humperdinck. Yeah, I should think about running something else on here, you know. I mean, I could tram it. Training it might be quite a lot of fun in a standalone fashion, but it'll be an awful lot of silliness if I were to. I mean, I could possibly link it up to Interlaken. There's enough room there to get down the hill, I assume, to get down the hill without having to do, you know, back and forth bridge work. But I'll have to do some kind of fairly technical, fairly complex, logistically clever manoeuvring to get down there. And actually, given the number of platforms I've got here, it's a smart move. Okay, I'll add that one to the to-do list. I'm never going to remember any of this, of course, but, you know, we live in hope. Meanwhile, what have we got waiting here? The Intercity, Tassanen, 85, waiting to Locarno, 130. Then you've got Interlaken Thun with 126. Interlaken Frugli, Frutigen. There you go. I got there eventually. That's also on the go. Look at that shocking display of non-smooth land there. Come on, man. Get your smoothing on. There you go. Oh, I know what I missed. Hold on. I missed something. Let's so just to head back. I'm not going to skip through all this again. We'll move straight forward to where we were up to. Now, where was the... I saw a little depot. You saw it as well. I know you did. And you went, is that the one that the historic train is sat in, gathering dust and grime? In answer to your question, yes, I think it rather is. It's not that one. Nuts. We'll just have to look it up. Right, hold on. Here we go. Burn. It's in the Burn depot. Here it is, the Legacy Special. Can we talk to it? No, we can't talk to it. But we can head over to the Burn depot, which is right here, which conveniently drags us down to the other end of the map, because we don't want to look at the goods depot just yet. We will do, but this was the original line from Burn to whatever's over there, and this is, of course, the Lakeside Traveller. Burn to... Oh, why can't I remember where it's going? I mean, I know where it's going. I can point at it. I can't remember the name of the town. It's Locarno, obviously enough. I mean, this has seen probably the heaviest levels of development on the map, given that we've got, you know, flying over freight lines now and a reasonable amount of redevelopment. But it is definitely... Oh, there's a Dakota. It is definitely in need of some modernisation. The Lakeside Traveller is another train that is highly overdue. A bit of modernisation. Colonel Cam. It's not bad. Get your cursor out of the way so you don't highlight stuff. There you go. Colonel Cam on the landing. That's what you pays your money for. You actually carrying anything? 7 of 8. Excellent. In fact, let's have a quick look and see how flying is going this year. Air, 659 in, 733 out. Oh, that could be better. But we're 16.2 million up, and it's mid-September. So yeah, I think the 18 million estimate there is probably going to prove to be about right. Now, as we come out of the airport and into Locarno, Maine, I'm actually quite pleased with this junction. I think that's all right. I think that's rather fetching. But we've got this is a goodly chunk bit of track going on here. Did I really leave this as a 5 platform? Nice. Okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, Locarno is coming on a pace in terms of growth. I mean, look at the size of it. It's doing very nicely. We've got some some tower blocks going up. They're pretty ugly tower blocks, but they're going up nonetheless. Which leads me to the, let's see who the biggest city in the universe is. Population of 1,500. Locarno is the top dog at present, followed by Bellinzona, which is just over there, which we'll go and have a look at in a moment. And then Interlaken, which we had a look at a minute ago. So I haven't got any real kind of super cities yet, but it's coming. How much are you packing there? Absolutely nothing. That worries me a little. Bellinzona goods bulk. Maybe you haven't had time yet. I'm going to have to break my own rule and go and have a look down here. Maybe it hasn't finished its first lap. That's also possible. Okay, right. We're just gonna ignore it for now. Let it crack on. Anyway, as you get to Bellinzona, Bellinzona has got arguably the best growth path kind of preset for it, with all of this kind of nested roads going on here, and you know we're right alongside the train line. What have we got waiting here? Hoik this up. So to Biasca 186, to Locarno 182. That's a pretty good tick right there. But it all needs modernising. We need to. I mean, for starters, I need to high speed and electrify this track probably. And then I think I'm running an A35 up here, unless I'm very much mistaken, which is not the swiftest beast that is currently available. And this particular route would very much treasure and indeed value a proper swift service, charging up and down it with a plomb. So I'll undoubtedly look into that. Let's have a see what we've got here. Yeah, I wasn't wrong. It is actually a 3.5. Go me. Right. Absolute ton of passengers waiting, which is always good to see. And made 70 grand there. No. Talk to everybody. So that was in excess of 200, or very close to in excess of 200. The train itself is making a profit still, but that profit is being eroded simply by the level of maintenance that it now has to do. And obviously, in addition to that, it will be more profitable if I stick something more profitable on it, as this red arrow comes in. And this again is on a nice profity route. And I think I've got like 6 or 7 trains running this as well. So if they're all making 100 grand a year, then that's that's a nice chunk of profit. But you only get 18 on board at once, and therefore you're always going to be a little bit limited. Now I've got one waiting there to go under the tunnel and over the bridge. Hold on, and then we've got another one waiting. He's just cleared. Okay. Well, maybe if I were to add an additional clearance signal a little further up the track here, we could avoid the queue. There we go. Let's do that. It's not going to make it any worse, that's for sure. Basically, by adding a block in that fashion, it gives the train a little bit further it can move up. And then as you get blocks that are close together, like the station here at town name, Kironico, and the signal almost immediately after it, because that allows stuff to bunch up. Allowing it to bunch up further up the line is also beneficial. This is a nice bit of building. I've done well here. Where are we? This is Erolo, which is a problem of a burg, because it's where the looper begins and ends, and the looper is not fond of making me any money. In fact, it's fond of the other thing, not making me any money. And it's doing better since I transferred the rather hefty engine that we had before, or the heavy consist, for these little tiddlers. Instead, this might be a red arrow. I might have got the last one wrong. Pretty sure it's it's an M300. You know how I know that? It says it on the front of it. So it's doing a little better now that it's got lightweight, relatively reliable, relatively accelerate-y kinds of trains going on. But it's still not doing it enough to actually turn a profit as we tick over 20 million for the year. All right. Clearly there are higher earnings to be had later on in the year. Well, I'm not going to complain about that. I've spent $1 million and so 1.25 million on various odds and ends here. So, you know, we're looking at, as you look at it now, 18 million, because obviously that was the end of month. Paid all my bills on time, every time. So yeah, Erolo, and that heads via a wending way up through the mountain before heading over the top of the flight path. Yeah, that was a mission to set up, but you know, worth it. And then proceeding gently. Sorry, a bit of camera wiggle going on there. Proceeds generally upwards as we head towards Geschenen and Vossen, which is where we terminate. Right about here, which is another nice junction, even though I say so myself. Obviously, we've got a bit of a landslip going on, but no one's really counting. And then once they get here, there are almost no passengers waiting, which is a bit of a problem. Actually, I think I prefer the way that this enters the tunnel here as an exit. It's a shame we've got a bit of clippage in the tunnel, but you can't have it all. And that's before we head up through Geschenen and then to Andermatt even. And Realp, and you're then looking kind of up in the Alps themselves rather than in the valley below. Blenio, of course, is the other side of the airline route. How much are you packing there, Herbert? 8. 8's good. 8 is good. That should turn a reasonable amount of money. The challenge that I've got here at Blenio, as I'm sure you'll recall, is to try and get the town to work its way out in this direction, and I'm making the right moves to do so. So here's the passenger station that this chap is coming into right now, and then we've got our tram and bus stop here, which can ferry people around this end, but it doesn't go much further. And that's the kind of thing that, fingers crossed, could lead to a bit of growth. I mean, I suspect if I were to forward this by 30, 40 years, we'd see some growth up in this area. These planes are just a tad bunched up, in my opinion. How much are you carrying? 4. Be a miracle if you're carrying anything at all. 1. It's a miracle. Right, so then we will climb on board here. Actually, we'll do a little bit of follow cam to start with. Because there you go, you've got double follow cam as we follow both the Dakota and the train at the same time before heading down the mountain. And I shall engage the afterburners in order to make this happen, because it is quite a trek and most of the scenery isn't that scenic. But as you can see, we're still in Blenio now, and that's the city limit, such as it stands, and I'd quite like it to expand to the airport, but you can't really force these things. So we're topping out at 125 in your kilometers per hour, and that's fine. It'll do the job. There isn't actually an awful lot of choice in the light train area to really compete with that as a cruising speed. At least not at this stage of the game. I remember that the Nordic DLC for Train Fever had several good options for kind of little runabouts mountain-wise. But anyway, we're now into the underground network from Truns through Mouster up to Tvetch. And it is, by everything I can see surface side, it's doing a good job. 21 and 35. That's very viable. 33, 31, that's also charming. And then 27, no complaints. No complaints at all. So if we look at the most profitable routes that we're rocking, there we go. Let's see where the pain is. Alpine Route 1. There we go. We can fish that out. We could probably fish that out. Go click on vehicles, select one of them. Now Alpine Route 1 definitely makes no money at all. Ironically, the short stop at the end of the route which I think is Chironico and Aqua Rossa. Is it Chironico that it does, or is it Airolo? It's one or the other. But that little route there, if I were to just shuttle between those two stations, I'd actually make a reasonable chunk of change. But going all the way round the exotic lengthy track is not really paying off for me. There's a new ship, look. It's a 576 Shetstire Piatiletka. Piatiletka? All right. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, as I so frequently am. Right, so that's the most unprofitable thing I own, and then we've got the Volan Hub Goods Bulk. That's the train that heads out to Volan by Bern. It's got all the capacity in the known world, but it's not really making much of it. Before Bellinzona Goods Bulk, which is a similar kind of idea, except that's a ship, and it hasn't finished doing its route thing yet. That was the one we looked at a little earlier on. And then Thun Goods Bulk, which again is doing nothing right now. Okay, what are we looking at here? I might well be looking at a line that actually doesn't have anything on it. Nope, that's a lie. It's definitely got a ship on it. That one's carrying nothing. This one is not carrying anything. All right, that's one to have a look at, because that's costing me £500,000 a year, that one. All right, we'll have a look at that another point. And this will all be down to my reorganisation of all this nonsense. So if I were to finish that off, things would undoubtedly get better. Anyway, leading the charge is the Hub Bravo oil refining line, which has a capacity of 360. It doesn't need it all, because it's made £17.5 million this year. That's terrific. The Intercity, meanwhile, is getting on a bit, and that's made me £5 million profit. So the profit section is easily outweighing the damage done by the no earners. Here are all the lines that have been shut down in order to kind of facilitate our growth at this stage. And now's the point that I shall point the camera at the goods area. So here we go. This is Hub Bravo. Right, there you are. Hub Interlaken Bulk Freight 468 and 90. Blimey. There's a ton of stuff waiting there. And here's my little truck stop effort, which is far more impressive if there's actually any goods waiting. But at the moment there aren't. So it's not as impressive as one may possibly have hoped. But it's certainly it's moving everything in the right direction. What are you bringing in here? You've got 90 oil that you've brought from the other side from Hub Alpha. That's fine. We can cope with that. Is it making any money? Just barely. Made 350 grand last year. Well, that's actually way better than I was expecting it to do. I was expecting this to be a cost centre rather than anything else. How are you doing? You're carrying nothing out to Thun. I got a problem here. Now that kind of issue means that either I'm supplying that faster, cheaper, better by another route, or it means somebody else has found a better route. And I suspect it's the latter. And one thing the AI drivers do seem to be relatively good at is plumbing out the route that they want to take betwixt points A and B. They're not necessarily all the points that you want to take in that direction, but it does have a knack of figuring things out for itself. Right, let's ease this up a touch. Right, good. That will wrap us up for this time. So a little bit of a tour, way more to do, way more to see, but we're definitely in tour mode today. We won't be next time. Next time around, I'm going to complete this stage of the goods hub by building this second station here, the Hub Bravo, by doing a kind of a big turn. No. By going out in this direction to Locarno. That's why I got rid of the ship to Locarno, because I'm going to do it by train. It'll be nice and quick, kind of shuttle-esque. Anyway, that will do. I've been Colonel Failure. Now, why don't you ask a question for this 20k asking a question kind of thing, and we'll see how that pans out. And I'll post the answers in around a week. Meanwhile, Transport Fever will return very soon, and I'll catch up with you then. Thanks very much for liking this video. That's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? That's not the word I meant to say. Thank you very much for watching this video. That's where I was going. I don't really deserve a like now, but be my guest. It's always helpful to do so. And subscribe if you haven't yet done so, particularly if you're submitting a question, because then you might be around to see the answer. And I'll catch up with you very soon. Cheerio!